Aviation Analyst Heinrich Grossbongardt, who joins us from Bavaria in Germany. Heinrich, thank you very much indeed. Before we get into the latest news lines, how much worse can it get for Boeing?
I think not pretty much worse than it is. So the 737 MAX is seeing the bottom right now. There are expectations that the aircraft will be back in the air by mid next year or mid this year. And the problems with the cultural problems Boeing has accumulated over the years and the quality issues are part of that, are being tackled.
Okay, here's a quality issue, and it's almost in the true sense of the word, unbelievable. US regulators are looking to fine Boeing $5.4 million for knowingly installing faulty parts. The faulty parts the regulators are talking about are something called slat tracks that are located on the wings. But the word knowingly installing faulty parts, how is that possible?
Yeah, that is really the cultural problem Boeing has accumulated over the last years. Boeing always has been a company being driven by engineers, and in the last decade, in the first years of the new century, the finance guys took over, and so there was a lot of pressure to increase productivity, to increase product all across the board. Boeing became very profitable, but the safety culture suffered from that.
The whistleblower that we're going to talk about in just a moment is called John Barnett. It seems you would agree with him when he says that Boeing has been putting profits and schedule above quality and safety.
Yes, that is something you have to assume. It's not that the company makes this decision every time and say, no, we don't care about safety. But it's a gray area. It's a slippery slope you are on as a company, and Boeing obviously developed this culture of putting concerns about quality, and aircraft production quality is always about safety, putting these concerns aside.
Okay, so here's a specific example that John Barnett gives. He says when he was sent to Boeing's new factory in North Charleston in South Carolina, he says he began to see serious problems in the manufacturing of the Dreamliner here we're talking about. While he was inspecting planes, he says he noticed metal shaving scraps which were left over from the installation that was taking place, and that those metal scraps he observed had fallen near electrical wiring. He says, well, that's clearly a fire risk, and he spoke to his bosses about it, and he says his bosses didn't think it was important.
Yeah, that's exactly the point of finance guys, logistics guys without aircraft engineering background running the show. Aircraft systems and aircraft safety is a very complex issue. These metal parts in the proximity of wires are always a concern. Things like this happen, but they have to be removed. They certainly, the risk that they spark a fire is probably not very high, but it could be the first step of a technical fault that later on, in a longer chain of events, might lead to an accident. Yes.
How much do you think the new CEO is going to change the culture at Boeing? I mean, I don't really want to go back on old stories, but I thought it was so hugely significant when Dennis Muilenburg was sitting in front of a congressional panel. One member of the panel said to him, do you, Boeing, sell additional safety features for an extra price? Okay, we're talking about the software that is being blamed for the 737 MAX model crashing and pilots not being able to control the craft and the craft falling to the ground. He said, no, we don't do that. And then a few months later, it was proved that Boeing was doing exactly that. Therefore, airlines that wanted to pay extra, they could have an additional safety feature which would work with that controversial software.
But that is not Boeing specific. So even at Airbus, you can buy certain add-ons for an aircraft which might or might not enhance safety. Some airlines go with that, some doesn't. So the aircraft in a basic configuration has to be safe. It has proven during the certification process to be safe. With the 737, we found out it didn't. But basically, the process is an aircraft which is certified in its basic configuration, meets all safety standards. Then an airline could do additional things, and there are airlines who do, and others, very renowned airlines, who don't. But that's not about compromising safety. It's a bit simplified what the Congress did.
Yes, actually, let me be factually correct, because I've just remembered that actually the question was put to the head of the Federal Aviation Administration saying, do you allow companies to do that? And he said, the head of the FAA, no, we don't. And then it was revealed that Boeing was actually doing that. So that's the factual statement that was made in that congressional panel. Okay, finally, in the first 9 months of 2019, Boeing's profit fell by 95%. How long is it going to take to recover?
I think 1.5 to 2 years, at least. Then this year, the current year, will be tough. Next year might be better financially, but it's not just about finance. It's about creating a new safety culture. And there are two people important: the new CEO in Chicago, but as well the new CEO of Boeing Commercial Aircraft in Seattle. Stan Deal, the new guy there, has a long history with the company. I'm following him since the early 2000s, and I think he's a good pick with a high sense of responsibility. So, and he's he's held in high regard with the employees. So I think Boeing has turned the corner, but to clean up the mess which has been created over the last, let's say, 20 years, will take a lot of time and will take another some billion.
Heinrich, really appreciate your taking time to talk to us on TRT World. Really appreciate it. Heinrich Grossbongardt speaking to us from Germany.